So, do you have any question with this class? Any question with the homework or anything with the lecture? Let me know. Hello, any question? Okay, if no question, let me move on with the lecture here. So basically for this module, we work everything with array, and you know that the benefit of array is that you store the data into separate slot, right? And it's stored in the continuous memory slot here. So that's why when you're processing with the array, it's very fast because they store it next together in the memory. And so you are able to go back and to take any value, to take it out any value of the array because they store it in separate memory slot. Okay, and okay, so we already done everything with this one. Now, all right, again, array is a series or list of variable items stored in the contiguous memory location. All variables share the same name, right? So we think about if you have the array with the name grade here, right? They have the same name because it's grade, and they must be on the same data type. Again, let's remember that when we talk about the array, normally it applies for every programming language, but not the Python. But in the Python, they have no definition for the array. They call it the list, not array, right? And list in the Python is very flexible. You can store whatever data ID. You do not have to store on the same data type. That is something very special about Python. But in any other programming language, normally you have to store every element in the array. They must be on the same data type. Right? And for each variable, they have the different subscript or index here. They have they share the same name. But if you want to access to specific element, you have to use the combination. You have to use the combination of both of the name and the index here, right? So remember one thing here: the index always starting from 0, right? And it come all over to the number of elements and less than 1 here. So think about we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements for this one, but index or subscript only ranging from 0 to 4. Right? And okay, and one more thing I also have to remind you again and again that when you work with the pseudocode or when you work with the real programming language, index always starting from 0. But when you work with the Raptor starting from 1, right? That is a huge difference here. You have to pay attention when you work with Raptor and when you work with the real programming language. Okay, so again, element is an item in the array, right? Subscript is the position of the item in the array, starting from 0 to 1 less than the number of elements in the array. The size array is the number of elements in between whole, right? So think for this one, you have the grade, it is the name of the array, and the size of this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And each array element can be used, right? So whenever you want to access it to every single element, you have to use a combination of both of the name of the array and the index number here. I think about you have a grade number 3, that means you have the element number 4 here, right? That's something you have to pay attention for this one. Okay, so yeah, you know the definition of the array and how we create and load data in the array. So basically to create an array, you just place element inside the bracket and separate it by the comma. I think when you work with the Python here, you put my list. This is an empty list, have no element, right? Or you have to my list 1, 2, 3. It is a list with the 3 element 1, 2, 3. And you might have generate the 10 element in the list, and all of them starting 0. It's when you work with the Python here, right? And remember, it's a Python is very flexible with the list. Okay, so that is when you work with the list. But remember that when you work with the Raptor here, basically if you want to create create array for the router, you have to do it manually. Think about you have the three element. You have to think about you have the three element in grid here. So basically, you have to, if you want to initialize it, you have to put it one by one. So we have to put it. I think I have grid. Again, interrupter you have starting from the number one, right? And have number one here. Think about this one, you have the 60. And you can do the same. You have grid number two. You have to do it one by one interrupter if you want to initialize it. Okay, so that is when you want to create a array into the interrupter, or sometimes if you want, you can do that. You can think about you have let's see. Let's think about I want to create a create 10 put 0 and I want to do the loop. I have the counter, I want to bring it down. One. So whenever now one more thing about is the loop also is very useful. You can use in when I work with the loop. Sorry, when I work with the array, normally you have the very built-in function very useful. It's a len function. The len function already tell you how many elements you have in the array. Right? So in the after also you can use it. You can use the len function. So whenever we calculate the len array name is created. Exit it. A length term. Okay, so in interrupter you have to give the length term here. But in the Python, it's a length. For each of the iteration, you want to bring it down. You want to bring it down here. You want to bring it down. Great. See, you want to bring it down. Great here. Again, you see, if you want to print out the every element of the grid, you just do the loop, right? You just do the loop, and you have to run it from the first element until the last element. And for every time you just print it out, you have to use a combination of the array name is grid here, and index is count here, right? And of course for each of the okay, and for each of the iteration, you have to action to increase the counter, otherwise it will be the indefinite loop, right? So you have to increase it by 1 to move to the next iteration. Okay, so see, that is the case, right? So in the case, if I want to initialize a array interrupter, I can put it here. I can put it's an array name and the size of array. Right? Think about if I want to store for the 10 students, I put it here. At the beginning, I put the number 10 here. Or you can raise the question here: how many students? How many students you want? So if he enters the 15, so you generate the array here. Make sense? Now think about I can modify my program here. So I don't want to fix it to every program with only 10 students. So I have option. I have option here. I get it. How many students you have? Right? How many in job class? Right. So I store this student. Okay, so now I can generate it here. I can generate the student. And all of them 0. Right, so now I do do the same as this one, right? So now think about this one. Think about I have the 15 here. So we can generate the array, right? It generates the array with the 15 students, and all of them at the beginning here. All of them at the beginning they have the 0 right here. And later on, right? So we can think about, you can raise a question, what is the grade of the first student, what's the grade of second student, and so on, right? How we do it? How we do it? If you want to update the grade of the 15 students in this class here, how we do it? If you want to get the input, how we do it?
Do you have to do an input grade for each student?
Yeah, right? And how we do it? You have to use a combination. Again, you have to use a combination of the array name and indexing, right? So in Zasca, you can see you can get an input here, right? So we think about enter the grade student one. What is it? No, not only one, not only one, right? It can be 2, 3, 4, 5. So we cannot pick one here. So here's the thing: you have to access to it. You have to put it. Target, right? Yeah, it cannot be only one. If you put one, every iteration is the one. Right? So we have to put the count here. And where we store it? Where do we store it into the what variable here? Huh? Where do you want to store it in the variable? What's the variable name here?
Grade.
No.
Maybe the grade array.
What is it? Tell me. Grade is the array name. Right? You have to use a combination of array name and the index number. Right? So basically you have to store it here. You have to store it in grades and again. Wow. Makes sense? Right? So see, if you run the first one, store in the grade 1. If you run the second iteration, store in the grade 2, and so on. Make sense? Okay. Now see. Okay, so now see, if I run my program again, right? So to make it short, I just have the 3 students, right? So, and see, it makes very straightforward here. And the grade for student number 1, right? Very helpful for the adding them. So I put the number 60 here, right? And the grade for the student number 2, I put 70 here. And the grade for the number 3, I put 80 here. So I done it process, right? I print it out, 60, 70, 80. Huh? Makes sense? So that's the way you work with the array here. You want to store it into separating memory, right? So in that case, you have to use a combination of the array name and the index number. Make sense? Okay. And you can see for this one here, it's stored here. Grades, they share the same array name with grade here, right? But they have the different index number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay.
What if you wanted to add like the average grade of your class?
It was exactly the same when we learn about the loop. You have to maintain what? If you want to find out average, what is the first action you have to do? Yeah, you have to maintain accumulator. Right? You have to maintain accumulator, and you have to set accumulator 0 at the beginning. Make sense? Yeah. So for every time you got the grade of student, you just add it up to the accumulator. Right? So when you have the sum, you just divide by the number of students. You got the average. Make sense? Yeah, you do exactly the same when you work with it. So basically, when you work with array, the only difference with the array and the loop is that you store it into the memory slot separately instead of it's stored on the same variable. Right? You see, if you go back to my example again in example here at the beginning here. That is a program here. You see, that's the program. I do everything the same, right? I have to maintain the accumulator here. Alright, so every time, what's the grade? Add it up, add it up, add it up. You do the same with the array. But the only difference here, you see, every student, I got it, I stored on the single variable right here. Now you see, if you look on this one here, I stored in the single variable here. They share the same variable. That's why I see if I have the first one 60 and the second one 70, it overrides 60 here. Right? The only difference between the loop and the array I show you that you have, instead of stored into the same variable name, now you have to store it into the array, and you have the grade here, it's array name, and you have index here, it's counter. Right? Makes sense? That's all. And everything about the sum and average, you do the same. And even that you want to find out what's the minimum, maximum, the process, the algorithm, only the same. Okay. Any question, guys? Okay, I'll think about this one here, right? So we think about, I want to break it down into the two process here. The first process, I get the input. I store it into the array. Now the second process, once I already store all of them into the array. Now the second step, I want to print it out one by one. So how I do it? Now, so for everything here, I just get the input. I already stored into the array. Now I want to print it out. How I do it? How I do it? How I do it?
You just do an output, and then it would be the grades. It would be grade count -1, and then you just output that, and it would keep going until.
So yes, the process you will store all of them into the array. It doesn't matter. It can be 10 students or 15 or 100. I don't care. I know for sure for two things I need to know. What is the array name? Right? And I know for the second thing that what is the size. So from that I can print it out every single one. Right? So now think about this one here. So I start again, right? So I have 3 students here. I have 70. I have 70. I have 80. Now I start at the process of store them into the array. Now the second part I want to accept into the array. I can take out whatever I want. So I can take it out. What is the grade of the number 2, or what is the grade of the student number 3 or 1? Right? I'm totally flexible with that. Right? I just need to use a combination of the array name and the element index only. Right? And if you want to print it out again, you maintain another loop. You run it everything from the first element to the last element, and you print it out. What is the grade of the first? What is the grade of the second? And what is the grade of the third here? Now you can do it here, right? So we think about if I want to do it again, I do exactly the same. This one. I do exactly the same. Very easy. Again, you see, you have to reset the count to number 1. Right? If you want to run it from the beginning, you have to reset it to number 1. Otherwise, you see, at the end of this one, you only have the count number 4. Make sense? Okay, you have to reset it if you want to read everything from the first element to the last. So we see for every element here, again I check the condition here, but instead of this one, I do the output here, right? Great. Student number. Right? He wants. What do you think? What I put here? What I put here? What I put here?
It's the grade array.
What I put it here?
The grade array count.
Grade count only, right? Yeah, that's all. Yeah, so see, that means I take it out the variable name. Sorry, the array name, and every single element in the array. Right? It depends on the count here. So count number 1, count number 2, count number 3, and so on. Make sense? Yes. Now I run it again. I run it again. I have 3 students here. I have the 60. I have the 70. I have 80. Now see the grade of the student number 1, 60, number 2, 70, and grade of number 3, 80. Make sense? It will be the same. Now we see. You know the process how to write it in the array. You know the process how to take it out from array. So when you know the two process, you're totally flexible with whatever it is. You can figure out what is the sum, what's the average, right? It says, okay. Okay, so you also learned something about a little bit about the application. All right. So again, remember that whenever you work with the sum and average, you have to maintain the accumulator. Right? You have to set the accumulator is 0 at the beginning. So every time you read it, you just add it up to the accumulator. That's why the name accumulator. Right? Accumulator, that means sum it up, sum it up, sum it up. Right? Okay, that is the way you find out the sum. And if you want to find out the average, you just divide the sum by the number of the elements. Okay? So that's the process. You have to initialize the accumulator and set the value 0 before the loop. Right? Run the loop starting from first element to the last element. For each iteration, add the value to the current element into the accumulator here. So that's the way you work with the Python here also. Right? It's very simple here. What is the and the number of students is the class. Right? So for this one, you generate here. This process is exactly the same with the process I do here. Exactly the same with the process I do here. Right? In the Python, this is in the interrupter, and this is in the Python. Right? Also, I have to maintain the accumulator here. The sum is 0 before the loop, outside the loop, right? Now I run it. I run with the for loop here. So every time what is the grade of student, I sum it up to the accumulator, and at the end I can figure out what the average here. Make sense? And again, every slide here I will upload in the announcement. If you want to look at for your reference, you can go back and see it here. Now, the find the minimum and maximum, right? The find minimum and maximum also, I already explained it to you already, right? So basically, you just assign at the beginning, you just assign minimum and maximum to the first element, and you run the scanning process, right? So for every iteration of the loop, you just compared here. Sorry, you just compared here, right? So if minimum is greater than number right now, it cannot minimum. Right? You just assign to minimum to the current. And the same with the maximum itself. The process exactly the same. You see, you have the array here. You starting from the first one, you assign the minimum and maximum to the both element here, the first element here. Now we run the loop. In the Python, the len function here return you how many elements you have in the array. So every iteration I just compare it here. Now, to replace the native decision, I explained it very in detail for the last class already, right? You see, basically, if you want to report for how many employees with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 dependent, you might break it down into the native selection here, right? But it's very cumbersome, and it's not flexible when you have the employee with the 6, 7, or 8 dependent and so forth. It's not flexible, right? It's not scalable well. So in that case, it should work with array. You see, it works with the array. You see, you can replace the whole cumbersome of the net decision here by the only one command. Huh? You still remember how to do it, right? Okay. Okay, and also we mentioned about the searching an array for the exact match. I still think about we have a list of the valid item here. You can think about that. All right, that's all right. Have array. So we have the list of the valid item. It can be for this one very simple, right? You have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for this one. But in the real life, if you are the grocery store manager, you might have 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. Right? So we have the list of the valid item. So whenever the customer want to order some item, the first thing he have to enter what is the code, and see when you have the code, you have to verify it is a valid item or not. Right? So if it's valid item, you can do that. You can figure out what's the price, what is it, right? Later. But if it's not, you have to print it out. It's an invalid item. So again, this is very simple program, right? You see, this is very simple program here. I worked it up basically in the Raptor. Again, if you work the Raptor, you can see. In order to do that, you have to do it manually for every single item. Right? In the Python, very simple. You can put it into the bracket and you put it here. But for the Raptor, you have to do it manually one by one. Valid item number 106, valid item number 2, 108, and so on here. Right? That is the initial slide about the valid item. So the process of this one is that the process of this one here. You see, the process of this one is that whenever got the code from the user, right? At the beginning, you set the file width is no. That means it's so cold that you have not filed yet, right? So it's not filed yet. So you have the sub here. The sub here, you can think about the sub here. It is index, right? The sub here is index. I don't know why they put the name sub, or it will be better that what I or cow, whatever it is. But you can think about this one is index here. Alright, and you want to scan it. You want to scan it from the first element to the last element. That's why at the beginning you set index. You set the index 0 here. Right? You want to scan it from the first one. Now we do everything from the first one until the last one. That's why you have the size here. That's the size, or you think about the length function. It returns about how many elements you have in there, right? And every time you check, what is it? You see, you have to use a combination of the array name and the index here, right? So the first element, the second element, and the third element, and so on. Keep doing it, right? So every time you check it, if equal, you change the flag to the yet here, right? And of course, if you want to move to the next item, you have to increase the counter here. So you see the process here. Initialize the counter, right? Check the correction and have action to change the counter. That's all. That's the three rules of the rule of every loop here, right? So see, when you've done everything, when you scan everything from the first to the last one here, you exit it, right? So when you exit it, you have the two possibility here. The first thing that it might be one of the valid item, right? So valid item, you have the file width here. That's why you print it out. You file width, right? Or you scan from the beginning until the end. No one match it, right? So you print it out, bad item, and increase the counter here. Make sense? Okay. So again, I expect that you have to understand about the process in both of the flow chart here. You see, this is a flow chart, and this is a flow chart again, and this is a serial code. Right? I expect you will have to understand how to what is the logic of the process here, because it's very helpful in the case you work with the serial code. You work with the debugging exercise. Debugging exercise is the same format here. You have to understand how to do it here. Okay, so how we work with the Python, we do the same. The processor, the process is the Python here is the same. I open the. Okay. The process is with the Python here, work with the same, right? So think about again, I have in the Python, I can put it into the single list here, right? You put every single list here. The size is 6 here, but item count at the beginning 0, right? And message yes, the item variable no, right? So keep doing it until the customer enters 999 to exit it here. Right? So see, right? So see why the item is not equal to finish do it, right? So see the process here exactly the same with the flow chart. I have to set the flag here no at the beginning. Right? Run it from everything from the 0 until the end of the list here. So if equal to the sub file width, if not, sorry, if file width yet here, file width yet, right? What is it? Okay, so file width yet, right? And you see, at the end of the process, right? At the end of the process, you have the two options here: you file width or no file width here, and keep doing it here. Keep doing it. It's exactly the same when you work with a pseudo code. or you work with the flowchart. But yeah, you know that the one thing with this program is that whatever I did, it only check for every single element in the array. Right? So we think about if you have an array of 100 or 1,000 elements, so even that you found it in the second element or the first element, you still have to scanning the whole process here. Right? Really slow down process. Yeah, you have to overcome with this one. I show you how to do it with the router on the last class. Now we learn about parallel array. That also is very interesting concept you learn in this class here. And basically when you work with the final project, so you have to work with the parallel array. What is parallel array? You have two or more array with the same name. Sorry, it's the same size, not same name. I mean, you have a parallel array. That means you have a two or more arrays the same size. And each element in one array is associated with an element in the same relative position in the other array. So to think about it, to make it simple, you think about you are the grocery manager, right? So see, each of the item you have the code here. They have unique code. You can think about the code here. And for each specific code, they related together with the price here. Right? So see, if you look on the item number 0, you know the price is 0.99 here. And if you look on the item 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, you know that the price is 17.50 here. They are related together by the position. They're matching together by the position. And again, they must be on the same side here. You see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. They have the same side. And for each element, they are associated together with the same relative position. Make sense? It's very straightforward example here, right? For each of the code, you have specific price associated with the code number here. Make sense? Okay. Now you can think about this one here, using the parallel array. So again, for this program here, a customer order an item, right? Program will check if the order item is invalid item or not. Actually, it is an application of the one used before, right? Whenever he enters the code, the first step he have to check if it's a valid item or not. Right? The second one, if the item is a valid item, you have to find it out. What price is it? Right? What price is it? So think about this one here. If he enters the item, number 7, sorry. If he enters an item number 700, right? Now it is a scanning process. No, not valid. Right? Don't do anything. Just print it out. But what happened here if he enters a 0307? Right? You see, 1, 2, 3 matching with this one, right? And this one, you know that index of this one is 0, 1, 2. Right? Index of this one is number 2. So we know once you know the index number 2, you go to the price 0, 1, 2. You know that price for this one. Make sense? So that process, when you want to match it, the first thing you have to find out it match or not. If match, you have to keep the index number, right? Because they related together by index number here. Make sense? Okay. So the process of this one here, the first thing is exactly the same with the program before, right? You do everything. That you set the flag here. Yes, right. You set the flag here. You set the sub here 0, scanning from the first element, right? So see, you do everything the same, exactly the same, right? But the only difference here is you print out the pricing, right? Because here, when you found it, you know that it's related together by the index number. Related together by index number here, so you are now able to print out what price is. Make sense? Okay. So you can see, I have the program with parallel array here, right? Again, in each line, I have to put everything about the valid item here, number 2, 6, and again for the price also, right? I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, right? And for the Kennedy, now pi item. See, the process here, I do exactly the same. Right? The process here, this one, I have not do it yet. This one I have not do it yet. I don't know. But what is it? I have not done it yet. Okay, so see, again, if you look in the Raptor program here, if you look on the Raptor program here, you can see what happened here. You can look on the Raptor program, you can see what happened here. I set the flag here, the same, right? Again, but remember one thing here. I have to starting from number 1 because it works with Raptor, not number 0, right? And keep doing it until the sub grade is the size here. So again, for each iteration, you compare it. If yes, you put the file here, right? And what other action here? What other action here? If you look on the into the flow chart, what other action you have? What do you think? What other action here?
Price.
You have to print out the price. You set it out the price. Sorry, you assign the price to the valid price, right? So again, I can come back to modify my program. I modify my program. Right? So I have the price here. So I have assignment and price. Price. You assign to what? Assign to what?
Valid price sub.
Let me see about again. You have valid price. Okay. So you have to assign price. Right. Why I have two variables? So might be something wrong with mine. Okay, so at the end of the process, right? At the end of the process, I can print it out. Sorry. At the end of the process, I can print it out. That's the price for item. Okay, this one I can add item. Okay, this one. Nice. Yeah, I know something. Okay, so we take for this one here, it has the price. So I can print it out. I can print out the price for item. Item here is variable, right? E. Okay. So see, I have item 106, 108, 307 here, right? So what happened here? I put the number 700 here, right? So it prints out already, right? Item not found, right? But if I put the number correct here, correct number is 307 here, 307. So what happened here? Type it out, right? The price for item 3.74.5, and then come back to this one and see 4.5, right? So that's the process of this one. Very simple here. Any question? Any question, guys? Any question? No, it's very straightforward, right? It's very straightforward with this one here. But again, okay, so we work with now you see that is the way you work with the flow chart, and again, I expect that when I work with whenever I work with the zero code or debugging design, then open the slide and you compare what's wrong with the program. Honestly, it's very simple, right? You know the process. This is a flow chart, and this is zero code here. So basically, when you work with the debugging exercise, just open it and you know if it is working with a matching exact match, you know how to type properly. Okay, and you see how I work with the how I work with the Python here. exactly the same, right? And do exactly the same. I have two parallel array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are matching together. They have the same size. And each element they are matching together by the position of the index number, right? So again, I keep doing it. I set the file with node. I sub 0 here. Keep doing it. Right? So every time if I file it, I print out the price of item here. Right? Makes sense. Okay. Now see, for this program and the last program, you have the problem, right? Even that you find out on the first element or the second element, you only have to run scanning process until the last element, right? Really slow down process if you have 100 or 1,000 or more than that item here. So in order to improve the improvement here, in order to improve the in order to improve the search efficiency here, right? You see, for this one, program should stop searching the array whenever the match is found. Right? So when I found it, why do you have to search it again? You stop it, right? So how we stop it? What do you think? How we stop it? Whenever we found, how we stop it?
In the loop put or instead.
Yeah, right. So basically, you have the two conditions to exit the scanning process. You have two conditions to exit the scanning process. The first condition is that if you are not found it and scan everything from the first to the last, right? And you're not found it, you exit it. The second one is that whenever you found it, you exit it. Right? So that's all. You have the two conditions. You just have the two conditions here, right? So basically, in order to do that, it's very simple here. You go to the router program here, right? Now instead of scanning everything here, right? You have one more condition. You have OR here. Or what? Whenever you have
Found it.
I need to know what is the sorry, this is the variable name, right? Okay, so I can change it here. Or equal to yes, right? Okay, so now see what happened here. If I run it again, sorry, it should be better. I run it step by step. You can see. If I run it step by step here. Now I put the 108 here. So see, 108 searching for the first item not match. Second item match price. Go to this one, exit it. You do not have to run it for the whole process to the end of the process. Okay. And the same when I work with the if you want to exit the loop in the Python, you can put the command in you can file it in that. On should work. Where? Yes, should work. This one 108, right? 108. Let's see what this one. Why? Oh, why 108 is not matching? Actually, Oh, sorry. I have to break it here. Okay. Make sense? Okay. That's all. The break in the Python is that user immediately exits the loop. That's all. That's the process of the okay, so we see. Actually, it's this one when you work with the real programming language, right? You work with the real programming here, but in the Raptor you put all here. Anyway, you have to flexible with the Raptor or in the real programming language. So when you have the two condition, you exit. Okay, I hope you understand the logic when you work with both the flowchart and pseudocode here. It's very helpful in the case you work with the debugging system. Now, I think the another one is very interesting is that you're searching an array for range math. So think about you want to buy you want to order something, right? You have the specific discount percentage based on the number of item you order. You work it exactly the same when you work the netted decision, right? You break it down with netted decision. So think about this program here. If you buy everything from 0 to 8, you have no discount. For 9 to 12, you have 10 discount. For 13 to 25, you have the 15 discount. And more than 26, you have the 20% discount. So we can think about the first approach. Right? You can think about you can work with the array and arrays as many elements as possible or quantity. Think about you have the discount here, right? If you have discount numbers for this one you have the 76 element here, right? So what happens if you have the discount 0, you have no, right? If you have discount about 20 here, so we see you have to count I don't know, might be 20%, right? Store appropriate discount for each possible order quantity. All right. Now, what do you think? What's the drawback of this approach? What's the drawback? If you want to store every single element in the discount, and you have each of them, they have specific number here. What is it? What is the drawback here? What do you think? What's the first drawback you can see? Observe here. Yeah, it's very long and prone to the mistake, right? And that's one thing. The second thing is that what happens if customer order 1,000? Yeah, it's 1,000 item, right? This one is not work. Only support was 76 only, right? So you see, you have the huge drawback here. It requires very large array and use a lot of memory. You know that whenever you use array, each of the array element of array, they consume a little bit memory slot here, right? So the first thing here. The second thing here, you store the same value repeatedly here. See, even the 0, 0, 0 here is the same. Not necessary, right? Okay, and how do you know when you have enough 11? You have no idea. Customer they may order 1,000 or 10,000. Okay, so now you can think about the better approach. You have to create the two parallel order. That's the process. You have to totally understand when you work with this one. This one you work with the finals project also. You have the better approach. You have to create two parallel array, each with the 4 element, because you have the 4 range here, right? So for this example, you have the 4 range, but it depends. If you have in the project you have the 5 range or 6 range or 7 range, you have to create based on the number of range, right? So for this one, you see you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's why you create the two parallel array, each with the 4 element, right? And one array has the 4 discount rate. You see discount rate here, 0 here, right? 10, 15, and 20. And one array has now it's very important here. One array has the low end of each quantity range. Low end only, right? This one 0 here, low end. This one 9 here, the low end of the second range, right? This one 13 and this one 26. Okay. Now how we do it here? So how we do it? This one here, right? You can think about, you can use a netted decision. Right? You think about, see, if you get the quantity, right? It's a quantity here. You check if quantity greater than limit number 3. Limit number 3 is the 26. Right? So we know for sure it is this count number 3 here. You see, that is the benefit of using parallel array. Right? See, you compare to the number 3, and you know if yes, you have the discount number 3 here, right? And you compare to the number 2, if yes, you have discount number 2 here. Make sense? Yeah. You have the number 2 1. Compare if yes, number 1 here. If not, you have the discount number 0 here. Make sense? Make sense or not? Okay. Of course, you can do that. You can do that also, right? You can do with the netted decision. But what happens if you have the 10 range or 20 range? It's huge problem with the program, right? It's huge problem with your program here. So now you can think about this one here. You can think about this one, how we work with this one here, right? So basically for this one here, you see, when you have the quantity limit here, you can think about you have number line here. You have number line here, right? You have number 0, you have number 9, you have number 13, and you have the number 26, and more than that. Right? So how we work with this one? You always starting from the largest one. Right? Starting from the largest one. So what is the largest one? When we're starting from the largest range here, the largest range here, right? We're starting from the largest range. What happened here? If you want to starting from the largest range, what is the index here? It's the last index, right? It's the last element. That is the last index, right? So that's why you see, you're starting with x equal to psi minus 1. You know that the last index is always the psi minus 1. Right? You got it? Now, the index in the array starting from 0 to come over to the side of the array minus 1. Make sense? Okay, think about this one here. You have the 4 elements for this one, right? 4 elements, but the index here, number 0, number 1, number 2, number 3 only. You do not have the number 4. Otherwise you have the number here, right? That's why I see you starting from the last. You're starting from the last index, from the last range. For that reason, you have to minus 1 here. Make sense? Now we compare for every element. You compare. If greater than 26, what happened? If greater than 26, that means you just take it out here, right? If greater than here, actually, yeah, no. For this one, or I can put it. Yeah, this one. But anyway, if greater than, what happened here? You know for sure it matching with the number x here, right? So now see, let me explain it again. Now see, at the beginning you have the number x here, number 3. Right? You know that number 3. So what's the number 3? What number 3? Quantity limit of number 3. It is a 26 here. Right? Make sense? Okay, now what happened if user enters the number 50? See, if he enters the number 50, check the condition here. No, 50 is not less than the 26. Right? User immediately exit the loop. You do not have to run the loop again. You know for sure. If not 50 here, you take it out. The rest here, this count of number 3, it is a 20%. Make sense? You do not have to run a loop anymore. Is that see? If he enters the number 50 here. Okay? Make sense? Now, what happened? If he enters the number 20, now see, do the process again, right? At the beginning, number 3 here, right? You see, number 20 here, less than 26, huh? Correct? You have to move. You have to move back to this one. You have to move back to this one. Actually, the process is quite the same with the method decision here, right? You have to move back to this one. So see, if you want to move back to this one, you have to redo it to the index number here, right? That's why you have to minus 1 here. Make sense? So now you have minus 1, you have the index number 2 here. Now we go back to the loop. Now see the quantity here, 20, right? Less than quantity limit. X, what is it? Less than quantity limit. X here. What is it? 13. No, right? No. Exit it. Print now. X number 2. This count here. 50. I see. you can replace the whole process of negative decision by the loop here. Make sense? Make sense, all right? Okay. So for this one, you do not have to do with the negative decision anymore. And it's very, very helpful in the case you have multiple range. You think about this one, only 4 range, but if you have the 6 or 10 or 10, 20, it's very, very helpful when you use the loop. Instead of breaking down into multiple if else negative decision, right? Okay. And you can see in my program here, you can see it in my program here, and we think it's the same with this one. And we think it's the same, right? So I have each line, all of them the same, housekeeping the same, and determine discount here. Right? So see, determine discount. Again, remember when I work thereafter, the last element is the sign, not the sign minus 1. That's the difference, right? You see, if you look on in the flow chart here, I starting from the sign minus 1, but in thereafter I have starting from the size here, right? Because it's starting from in thereafter starting number is the number 1. Make sense? Okay, that's one. That's all. See, every time I just compare it, if greater than, you see, think about we have the range here. You have the range here. You have 0, you have 13, you have what is it? 16, right? 16, and you have 26. Oh, 9, sorry, 9 here, and 13, and you have 26. So we have the range. Now see, check if greater than 26. For sure, I just quit it, right? And I know that the discount here is the last one. You see, the process here do the same. And do you have any question with this one? I expect that you have understand the logic of this one here, because when you work with the final exam, also when you work with the final project, I expect you understand how to work with this one. Yes.
So is the final project all in Raptor?
Yes. Okay. Okay, so we see it's very, very helpful in the case you have a lot of ranges in your program. Instead of breaking down into the multiple if and else here. Sorry, multiple if and else. Check again, check again, check again, check again. See, very helpful in the case as you replace the loop. So that is, you can see again. I expect that when you look on the slide here, you have to understand the structure of the flow chart here. Again, because in the debugging exercise, you have the homework working this one. Now, how about zero code? The same. Zero code here working the same, right? Zero code here, starting from the last element, starting from last element here, and check the condition. If less than, you move back. Why don't move back? You have to reduce the index here, right? That's all. And of course, when you move out of the loop, is that to take it out the discount again. Okay, that's all. Very simple. Any question, guys? Okay, so here's I work with the Python. In the Python, work with this one very, very simple. You see, very, very short here, right? Size -1, exactly the same when I work with pseudocode. I said converted from pseudocode, exactly the same. I said, sorry, I will convert here. Let me compare the program. Let me show you how to program. This one, right? So you see on the left, on the right here. On the left is a pseudocode. On the left is a pseudocode, and you can see exactly the same. I have the size -1 here, exactly the same. This one. So I check the correction here, and if not, I -1. Exactly the same. So see, if you understand the process of the pseudocode, you can convert it into the real programming language, the Python or whatever. Very simple here. Any question? No? So I think we should take a short break and come back in families. Okay, so let's go on with the two-dimensional array. So far we learned everything about the one-dimensional array. Right? One-dimensional array, that means for each of the element in the array, you only have one index. But in the case of two-dimensional array, you have two indexes. You have two indexes. I'll think about you want to make a Excel sheet for all of students here, right? So we have student number 1, student number 2, number 3, and so on. And for each of the student, you have the file text here, right? So see, if you want to access it, if you want to look into the file here, if you want to look into the file and see what is the test number 3 of the first student, you can see that is the first student, right? What is the test number 3 here? You have the 87, right? So for this one here, in order to find out what is correct, what is specific test of each specific student, you need the you need the two index here, right? See, what is the number of student? What is the student number? What is the test number here? Right? So basically, you see, it is a two-dimensional array because it represents in the row, and column here. Right? Make sense? In the row and column here. Right? So see, in order to do that, normally for the two-dimensional array here, you have to maintain the loop. You have to maintain the two loop here, not the one loop, right? You have to use the netted loop here. The outer loop it is in the row. The outer loop is student, right? So see, if you want to get input from the teacher, you think about if you're the teacher, you want to enter grade for every student here, right? So you have to do with every single student first, right? Now he do with the student number 1. What is the test number 1? What is test number 2, number 3, and number 4, and number 5? So when he done with the first student, right? What happened? He moved it to the second student here, right? And again, he had to do it from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, when done with this one, you have to do it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you do with the netted loop, again, you have to follow the rule here. You only have to set the counter. You have to initialize the counter before the loop, outside the loop, right? The second one, you check the correction. And the third one, you only have action to change the counter here. Right? So for this one here, if you look on this program, here, you see for this one, how we work with the, how we work with the dimensional array here. So think about this one. I want to get the grade for student, right? And yeah, I have the option here. How many students in your class? And for each student, how many tests it is? And you see, if you work with a two-dimensional array, you have to maintain two indexes, right? You have I and J. I here, right here, matching with the student. I see student number 1, number 2, number 3, student here. And so on. And for test is the J, matching with the number of tests for each student, right? So we have the test number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. Right? So that's why I see you have to maintain the two index. And the outer loop here, the outer loop is a student, right? I run everything with the student here. I run everything with student here. Right? So the inner loop, see, in the loop you have what do you have the inner loop here? In the loop you have, I should be better. I change my program. I don't like this one. I hope this one. Where the inner loop? Yeah, this one. I don't know. I don't have it. Make it more. So we think about this one. I have the outer loop here, right? Outer loop, I initialize the counter for the outer loop, right? Check the condition, right? And inside the body of the outer loop here, inside the body of the outer loop, I need the action to increase the counter. That's all. You have the three loops here, right? Initialize the counter, check the condition, and change the value of the counter. That's the outer loop, right? Outer loop is here for the student number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. Now for the inner loop here, again, if you look on the inner loop here, inner loop, I have to initialize the counter for the test, right? I have to initialize the counter for the test and check the condition. Again, inside the body, I have the action to change the counter here. That's all, right? So now I run it here. If I run this program, To make it simple, I have a 2 student away, right? And for each student, I have a 3 here, right? So now enter the tag number 1 for the tag for student number 1. I have 50, I have 70, and I have 80. Now enter the tag number 1 for the student number 2. I have 77, I have 89, I have 45. Right? So see the process here is stored into the row, right? It's stored into the row, and for each row you have the 3 elements here. Huh? Student row here number 1, that means student number 1. Huh? 6, 70, 80. Right? Row 2, student number 2. The first tag, the second tag, and the third tag. Huh? It always working with the grid line or the magic here. It very straightforward when work with the 2-dimensional array. Make sense? Yeah. So again, remember that in the case you work with Raptor, remember that in the case you work Raptor, the index always starting from number 1, right? But actually in the array programming, it's starting from number 0 here. That's why when I work with the Python here, I work with the Python on this one here. You see, I get the number of students, right? And get the number of tests here. Now see for this one here. For this one, I have to initialize it. I have to initialize the magic here. This one, I have to initialize the magic here. Right? So see the first one here. As a number of 0 and test. That is I generate the magic for each student, right? And also I have what is it? For each range of student here. That's why the process I generate all of 0 for all of students here, right? So now I have to do the maintain the netted loop, right? Maintain the netted loop here. So I here for student and J here for stat. You see, for each of them, right? If you want to go to specific tag, you have to use 2 index here. I here for student number and J here for the tag number. Make sense? Okay, that's all. Instead of 1 index, you have to use the 2 indexes here in the netted decision. That's why in the 2-dimensional array. Now, I think that is the last thing I think we work with this one. Now, because I mentioned it before. So basically, the array is a definition, general definition of every programming language, right? Everyone, they must be on the same data type, right? But in the Python, they have no definition. They have no specific definition for the array, but they call it the list. They work quite similar to the array, but it's more flexible here. All right? Oh, well, sorry. So in the list, they can hold the various type of data. So think about this one here, right? I want to generate the import list, and you see I can store the string and the number here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the Python. It doesn't matter in the Python. Okay, so you can bring people here. Okay, it doesn't matter in the Python. Right? That's the first thing. It's very flexible here. The second thing here, the size not fixed. So basically, in other programming language, when you want to declare an array, you have to specify the size. I think about 100 or 150, and you have to pick that for the whole program. You cannot change it. But in the Python, it's very flexible here. You can add element into that. You can append it. You can append the element here, or even that you can remove the element or change the order of element also by using some of the method built-in function here. Right? Some of the common method are the append item. Append item, that means add to the end of the list. Right? You can use index item here. Index item, that means you return what is the index number. You can pop the item in the case you want to delete it, right? And you can insert the item, you can sort the item, you can remove the item or reverse the item or delete the item here. And some of the common built-in function are also you have the minimum function. So return about what is the minimum value in the list here. You do not have to do the algorithm. right? As a maximum. So now, let me show you something about this one. Let me show you something about the Python. It's very interesting. Very think about I change this one. I have number here. Equal to select number. Equal to this one and remove this one. Okay, so now I can use I equal to minimum number. What is the method or it is method or function? Function. So it is mean. Okay, and I bring down minimum. Okay, so see, you do not have to do the process of the running this comparison, right? Every comparison from the actually it do the same, but underline you do not have to take care of that, right? Underline of the Python, they have the same process, they have the same algorithm to compare every single one to it, right? But they already have include in the function here. You do not have to. You do not have to write it by yourself, right? Or you can have the maximum also. You have the maximum. Okay, who's it say? It should be maximum. Okay. Now, what else? Some of them is very useful. Some of them. And what else? Okay, so we see you have the sum of them here. Can append the item here. Right? So we think like it. I have the list here. I already have the list here. And now I want to append it. I want to have the number. Number. Okay, now we see add the number 100 to the end of the list. To the end of the list here. What else? What else? Index also is right. So where it tell you what is the position of the number. I told you about I equal to the number index. Check it out. What is the number 26? So we return, right? 0, 1 here. So we return that is the number 27. It is 1 here, but actually it is the element number 2, right? Because starting from the number 0, right? Or I can put it here. So let's see what here. I can put it here. Index number 25. And it return number 3 here. 0, 1, 2, 3. So we know. So from that, it's very helpful in the case you want to search or anything. Or in the case you work with a parallel array, you take it out the index, right? And from the index, you can print out the price. What else? Okay, it's the pop index. I think the pop index, the del index, I think the same. Let's see, the pop, I think it is when you want to remove it. Right, number pop, number 1 here. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we remove number 37. Or you can insert it at specific one here. So we can have number, have inserts, put number 1004. I think I have to do it in the reverse way. The reverse way. 1000, that means the index number. Yeah, so we see insert it here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert the number 1000 into the array. It's very, very flexible. With other programming language, you cannot do that. You cannot do insert here. It's other program. It fits when you declare this. And also you can append it into the list, into the array. Okay, also the sort here. The sort is that sort here. The number sort. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, now we sort in the ascending order. Right? Sort in the order. And if you want to reverse it, so we can use the reverse method. Reverse. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting when work with the Python. It's very, very flexible because it only includes all of the built-in function or method. You do not have to do it by yourself. So basically, in order to sort it, you have to use a bubble algorithm. I don't know if you learn something about bubble algorithm or not, but in the other programming language, if you want to sort it in the ascending order, you have to use the bubble algorithm. But in the Python, you see, it's very, very, very helpful. Now, I think one more with the Python I want to show you. In the case you work with the homework here. In the case of the homework here. So basically, in the case of the homework, in the case. So basically, in the case of when work with the Python, in the case of homework, you have the two type loop. You have the two type loop. The first one you have the specific number of elements. You know for sure. Right? You know for sure that you have the 20 students in your class, or whatever it is. So basically, for this case, you see, if you want to get it, you want to load data in the array, you just generate the array, and you put every number, every element with a 0 here. Right? So think about what happened here. What happened when we work with the program with the Python here? Think about if I answer that how many element in the array, I want the number 3. So this process here, it generates the number 0, number 0, number 0. You have 3 of them, right? So when you generate the array with all of them 3 here, now you for every iteration of the loop, right? You got to think about what is the number? You have the 70. You override here 70, right? And what is the number? The second one, 85. You override. You have 85 here, right? So that is normally that is the way you work with the specific number element. You have to declare. You have to initialize the array first before you write into the array. Otherwise, it not work. Right? Again, in the Python, if you want to write into the array, you have to initialize array first. Sorry, you have to initialize the list first, not the array. Okay, so basically, if you know for sure for the specific number of elements, you just generate the list with all of the element here. Right? You can start with 0 or whatever it is. It doesn't matter here. Now that's the first thing. Now the second thing is that if you work with a kind of the indefinite or unspecified here, unspecified. If you work with unspecified number of elements, think about you ask user keep enter number until he enters the number 0, right? So sometimes you can run it for the 5 iteration or 10 iteration. It's totally your choice, right? So in that case, is the first step here. Normally for the first step, user generates the empty list. Empty list, that means at the beginning, you have no element, right? So now you run the loop, you check the condition here, right? If it's less than 0, it exits, but greater than or equal to 0, keep doing it here, right? But you see, if every time you got the number, you append it here. Append it, that means add it to the list, right? So talk about what happened here. If he enter number 10, write to the number 10 here, right? Write the number 10. And next time he enters the number 15, append it into the list, you have the 15, and so on. Make sense? Okay, so basically that is the thing. That's the two way you work with loop in the Python. Remember, you have the two options. with specified number of elements. This one is unspecified. The first one is a specified number of elements. You just generate the loop with the number of elements. You know for sure, right? The second one, if you have the undefinite number of elements, you just do with empty list, empty list, and append it into the list. Make sense?
Question.
Yes.
For the defined loop, in MyArray, the one you have open in Python
Yes.
or Visual Studio, you're multiplying by whatever the number is. Why aren't you like adding it?
What? What's the
So
question?
like on line 3 on the other application, yeah, that one, you're multiplying MyArray equals 0 times number. Why is it times number and not plus number? Like, wouldn't it be adding the number of?
No. You cannot add it. The process here, the process in the Python here, that is it. If you want to generate the 10 number in the array, right? If you want to generate array with the 10 element, you know for sure you need the 10 element. So
Yeah.
number of, think about if you enter the number 10 here. So that means what's the process here? You have to reserve the slot with the 10 element, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you put all of them 0. That's all. That's the process.
Okay.
That's the process. Okay, you cannot add it. You cannot add it here.
Okay. Is that executed in line 4 where it's saying create that range of the number?
Number 4.
Yeah, like line 4.
Okay, now see, that is a definite loop, right? That is definite. You know for
Yeah.
sure. So use a for loop here. Use a
Line
for.
4 is creating those slots with the number of zeros.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So see, for index here, iterate, starting from the first element, what is all? If you enter the number 10 here, right? So
Yeah.
it write number 10 into the first element, and so
Okay.
on. So on. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other question, guys? Okay, so I think that's all for the lecture. Now let me see about. Can you open the debugging exercise that we can work with? Open the debugging. Okay, so what do you think? What is the purpose of this program here? What is the purpose of this program? The first thing you have to understand, what is the requirement for this one? What is the purpose of this program? What do you think? Yes.
That's to count like the total recycling
lines for each grade.
For each grade, right? Okay, so you have student year in school from 1 to 4, right? So basically, now if you want to count it, you have to initialize the accumulator, right? And for this one, you have to initialize 4 accumulator, not only 1, because you have student number 1. You have the year number 1, year number 2, year number 3, and year number 4, right? And at the beginning, all of them 0 here, right? Right. So see, for each student here, right? For each student here, and there's a year of student. So there is what is year? What year are you in, right? What year are you in? What year are we in? So think about I'm in year number 2, right? Now how many can? So we think about I have a 10, so we add it up to number 10 here, right? And again, what year are you? I have year number 2, and how many can you have? I have 15. Add it up, you have 35. That's the process of the accumulator, right? And you do the same with other one also. The year number 1, year number 3, and year number 4. So, right? Okay. So now see what's wrong with this program. See what's wrong with this program here.
Should it be a 4th 0?
Yeah, right. You have to maintain the 4 accumulator here. All of them 0 here, right? So we need 1 more 0 here. Now, anything else? Anything else? Anything else? What do you think? Any idea? Any idea? So what is the process here? What's the process here? What do you think? What's the process? Accumulator, right? Sum it up to the accumulator here. What's the thing here? If student tell you that he's in the year number 2, which you have to subtract 1, right? Because the thing here, if you year number 2, you have to start into the index number 1. Make sense? Because here, you see, index here number 0, index here number 1, index here number 2, and index here number 3. Right? So see, what year are you in? He says that I'm here in number 2. Actually, you have to start into the index number 1. Right? That's why you have to subtract year for the 1 here to minus 1 here. Right? Make sense? Yes, right? You have to do year minus year, right? So we have to do here. Or you can change it here. You can change it from here. You can change it from here. It's okay. That's okay. Makes sense. Right? Okay. Now, question or not? I'm not really sure you got it or not.
Kind of.
Now think about this one. I ask you what year are you? Tell me what year are you? 3, right? So where do you want to add it?
In slot 2.
0, 1, 2. Slot 2, that means index number 2. I see you are year number 3, but you add it into the element with the index number 2. Right? That's why I have to minus 1 here. Right? Minus 1 here. Make sense? Okay. Again, this one here, right? You want to print it out. You want to print it out year number 1. Y here less than size output here. Okay, this one also, right? This one also. What happened? What wrong with this one? Yes.
You have to do the year minus 1 there too, right?
This one, right?
Yeah.
And anything else? What do you think? Anything else?
Does it have to be less than or equal to?
Yes, you have to equal also, right? If less than that, you do not have to include the last element. Right? So we have to put the equal here. Make sense? Okay. So that's the one. You have to understand the process. Okay. Now this one, it matching with one of our application. What do you think? Which one? in the slide. Yeah, working range, right? Working range. So I recommend that you open the application here. You open the application in the range. And you understand the process. So instead of working with the method decision, right? Now we replace them with the loop here. So see, if you understand the logic of the pseudocode here, it works exactly the same with the one you are working with the debugging exercise. Right? It works exactly the same. But the only difference here, what do you think? The only difference here is that it's sorted in the order from the 90, the 80, and 70, and 60, and 0 here. It's a reverse order. So how we do it? If they put in the reverse order, how we do it? You have to starting from the first index, not the last index. Now see, in this example here, you see, they sorted in the ascending order. I see. Sorry, the ascending order. You have 0, you have 9, you have 13, and you have 26. That's right, 26 here. Right? See, check it, check it, check it, check it. Ascending order. Right? But now for this one here, that's why you see. That's why you're starting from the last index here. Right? But for this one here, you sort it in the ascending order. You have 90, you have 80, you have 70, and 60, and so on. You have to start from the first index. Not the last, right? You check if greater than 90, exit it. Again, check greater than 80, exit it. Make sense? So this one here, you have to starting from the one, from 0 in the index. This one, not from the last one. Okay, I don't want to correct it here. I want you to think about the logic in order to work with this one. But anyway, that's my suggestion. You have to think about the process here. Okay, so number three, what is this program? Count how many cells are made for each by category. Yes. Okay, so okay, got it. So basically, again, this one also, this one is a you have to maintain the accumulator here. You have the 5 categories, right? So think about you raise a question here. What category it is? What category it is? So we think about the category number 3. So we have to add it up, right? You have to add it up 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you have to add it up to number 1. So every time you answer the number 3, you have every time you answer the number 3, you have to add it up to the active. Why cannot I? So see, what is it? The question here, enter category. So think about if you user enter the number 3, right? So we have to add it up 1, 2, 3 here. You add it up to number 1. This one. Again, what the category are you? Again, you answer number 3. You add it up to number 2 here. So on. Make sense? So on. Make sense? Nothing about if you want to sell something, right? You have the item A, I have item B, I have the item C, I have item D and E here. Right? So the time ask you, what item are you selling? I answer C. I increase the number 1 here. Right? Again, what item are you selling? Number C, 1 more item. Right? That's all. That's the same. But instead of ABC now, I work with this one here. Right? Make sense? Okay, that's all. Okay, and again, you have to understand the process when you got the input and you get the output. Remember that whenever we have this one have 2 loops here, right? The loop here, the first one is that you store in the array. The first one is you got the input and stored in the array. The second one, you access in the array and print it out. And I show you in the wrapper also. Whatever loop it is, you have to initialize the counter, right? From the first element, right? Run for everything to the last element. The same with this one also. If you want to print it out, you have to do it here. You have to initialize the counter, right? Check the condition. Any question? If you are not clear, just let me know. Yeah, I think this one the same. This one also work with the range here, right? With the range here. And again, if you want to work this one, it is flow chart here. You have to understand the logic of the flow chart when you work with the range. Searching array with the range command. That's my suggestion. Okay, if you want to work with the debugging exercise, they already have everything in the slide. You understand the logic of flowchart and you understand the logic of the zero code in the slide. You then convert it into the debugging exercise. They follow exactly the same logic. Now the first one you create the raptor program, store the 10 random number in the range from 1 to 10 in the array. It is the same with the one you done before with the module file, right? Use the program to generate a random number. But the thing is that this one here, you have to store it into the array. And you know that in order to store an array, you have to make the loop, and you have to store it into the array name and the index number. Right? So when you already stored in the array, you have to display the number in the reverse order of entry. Now think about you have now to make it short. You think about I just want to store three number random here. Right? So my program can generate three number random here, 7 or 5 or 4 here. Right now that I stored into the first element 7, 5, and 4. But my program, I have to accept into the array. I have print it out in the reverse order 4, and 5, and 7 here. That's all. That's the requirement of this one. Make sense? Okay, I think this one's so very simple. And this the second one here. You have to create a raptor program as user continuously enter the number and store in the array until user enters the number 0. This one it is specific. This one specific number of iteration. Right? But this one it is unspecific. You have to control it here. That's why you have to check the condition. Keep enter the number until he enters the number 0. So the first step you have to store it. You have the first step here. You have to store it into the array. So when you're done with the storing, now you accept into the array. You accept in the array. You have to display what is smallest and what is the largest. And you know the process of the largest and smallest, right? You have to assign both of the smallest and the largest to the first element, right? And you run the scan process. See, and let me show you again. And this one. Now you want to find here. If you want to find the process here, you have to assign the minimum and maximum to the first element. And after that, you run the loop, scan it from the second element to the last one, and you do the comparison. If you greater than minimum greater than, change it to the minimum. Maximum less than, change it to the new maximum. Okay, think about that. Now for the Python. Okay, so for this array, okay, so this array you have you have 8 elements, right? You have 8 elements. That's why you have to do you have to run the loop, and you for each of the iteration of the loop, you get the batting average for each of them, and you convert it, right? You convert it, and you have stored it into the array here. So again, for this one, this is a specified number of iterations, right? It should be better you work with the for loop here, right? You work with the for loop, right? You work with the for loop. So for each of them, you store it into the array. What is the array name? They don't have that.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Whatever you want. Right?
Mhm.
So how can you declare the array here? How? What should I do? What should you do with the declare the array for this one? Now we come back to my. If you go back to my slide here, you can see. Go back to my slide here. Sorry. Go back to my program here. I think. See, this one is specified number of elements, right? So we can think about this one. You can put my array whatever you set it. Yeah, all of them 0 at the beginning. Right? That is specified number of element. Right?
So since you know that it's 8, would you do
8. Yeah.
yeah
Or
times
you can
8?
you can replace with this one here. Mark average here. Right? Okay. That's all. That they want to use a constant name, not the number here. So basically for this one you can do the same with this one, right? So you can say you put here, declare that. You can put the name, whatever is name here. My chat. Right? So you have to mark average here. Alright, so now you have to write a loop to get batting average for user. You have to do it for 8 times, right? Now you know for sure it is a specific number of iterations. So what do you have to do? You have to use a for loop here, right? You have to do the for loop here. Alright, so see, that's my for loop here. I see about this one. Right? You can copy this one and put it here, index whatever, or I or whatever. In range of what? What do you think? In range of what?
Max averages?
Yes, right? You do the exam here. So get it here. And now, for every time you got it, and you have to store it here. So what action you have to do here? What is it? What action you have to do here? Now, think about, again, you see, if he enters the number here, if you look on the program here, right? And the batting average, you think about if he enters 80 here. I don't know 80 is a valid number for the batting or not. I'm not very familiar with this one. But see, they store into they assign to the average string, because whenever you got it, you have the string format, right? That's why you have to convert it into the floating here. Right? You have to convert it into the number 80 here. Now you will have the number 80. You want to store it into the element of array. So what you have to do?
My tries equals batting averages?
No.
Append?
You want to store it in the array. That is right. Okay. So my child what? You have to store it in every single element of array. That's why you have to use a combination of the array name and index number. Right? So what is it? You have to my child what here? What is the index here? I. I here is ranging from 0 come on over to 7. Yes.
So what the I stands for is index.
Sorry?
The I there stands for index. That's what it stands for.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want. You can do the cow or I or index, whatever you want. But they have to matching together. Yeah, that's all. That's all. Again, you see the process here. You store it into the array, really, right? You store it in the array. Yeah. What is it? What's the requirement here? Okay, you have find the minimum and maximum, right? You find the minimum and maximum. You see, that's why they assign to the first one, assign to the first one here. And you do the running process, scanning, and compare. You do exactly the same with I did in my slide here. Right? You do the same. Okay. And the total also, if you want to do total, you have to maintain, what is it? What is the total? We also have to find the total, right? No, where is the total?
You do, it's at the bottom.
Okay.
Under instructions.
Okay, anyway, that you have to maintain the accumulator, right? And then the loops that add it to the accumulator. That's all. That's all. Again, I want you to do it by yourself. I just give you some of the suggestions. Parallel rồi. Okay, so this one is exactly you do the same with the example we do in the slide here, right? We do with the parallel order. Do it exactly, right? You have the item and you have the pricing. That's all. The program is exactly the same. Right? So you see, you have number of items, you have 5, right? You have item here. They are parallel. You have the add item, right? That is the later adding here. You have cream, cinnamon, chocolate, and so on, and they're matching together. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Matching together, matching together, matching together. And you see, the process exactly the same. With I show it to you. I show it to you on this one. Right? You just scan it, and if matching it, you add it. If not, no. Right? Okay. So yeah, I think that's all. You have to understand what the requirement and where should you work with each of the program. So, any question? Any question? I see. In the parallel right here, I do exactly the same. I do exactly the same. I do set it, power it, do exactly the same. Okay, so any question? Let me know. Or if you need any help, just let me know. Or the homework or assignment or anything. With a class here. You need any question? You have any question or you need any help, just let me know.
I do have a question.
Yes.
When will the instructions and everything be put out for the final project?
On Monday. Hello?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
We publish on Monday. Oh, I can publish it now if you want. Okay. Yeah, it should be better. You look it in advance so I can publish it. Yes. That's the final project for next week. Okay, so any other question?
When is the final product due?
Next week, Sunday next week.
Okay.
John here. Jalen, are you here? Jalen, are you here? Yes, I know John is here. Jalen not here. Content are you here? Eric, are you here?
I'm here.
Joe, are you here? Joe. Devin, are you here? Lindsay. Devin here, right? Lindsay. Michael. Matt. Hello, how are you? Will, are you here? Direct, are you here? Direct, are you here? Mike's here. John, are you here? Paul, are you here?
I'm here.
Daniel, are you here? Daniel. Parker. Why? I called your name. Carl, are you here? Carl, are you here? Alex, are you here?
Here.
Who here? Tucker, are you here?
Here.
Look here. Marcom here, right? Okay, so that's all for the lecture for today. Anyway, if you need any help, you can stay after the class.